Welcome back to the Fear and Beer podcast,
where we discuss all things Halloween Horror Nights, horror movies, and just a little bit of beer.
So kill the lights, grab a cold one, and join us as we dive into this mad world we love.
I'm Nick.
I'm Shamus.
And I'm Jamie.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh.
Here's Johnny.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You miss me.
Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
And as a reminder to all listening, if you want to help us to continue growing as a podcast, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whichever streaming platform you use.
To stay up to date with us and all of our episodes, be sure to follow all of our socials. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Fear and Beer Pod.
Feel free to reach out to us. We love to interact with you all.
Well, we swear this will be the last time we talk solely HHN31. Probably not, but it sounds good because we've talked a lot about this, but with the recent addition of Jamie, we figured just a better way to kind of get to know her, we'll go through her list. Not necessarily hype list, but rankings. And we're going to try and guess where they lay because it has been a while since we discussed this stuff. So even for me, I kind of had trouble picking what's going to be where on her list. So I'm curious how well or how poorly I did on this. So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. It's kind of Jamie's 31 episode, but to give it a little bit of a twist, we'll add a little bit of confusion in there. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. But before that all gets going, of course, we got to crack into some beers. And I got a weird one. So I picked up Zombie Duck Hunter, which is exactly what you think. It's the old Nintendo-style Duck Hunter game. This zombie-looking guy with a hops for a beard is holding up 2 little dead ducks, drawn up much like the old-school layout. It is a West Coast IPA, which is just going to be very, very hoppy versus like the New England East Coast, which is more hazy. This is from Beer Zombies Brewing Company. It's a micro out of Vegas. So again, this was picked up at Half Barrel Project. So I'm very curious to see what this thing is all about. But it says, take the can, open and drink. It's Zombie Duck Hunter. Your trusty hunting zombie wades into the aisles to flush out your beer. So very curious what this is all about. So what else we got around the drinking board tonight?
So I am drinking Island Squeeze from Prairie Artisan Ales, which we had gotten some stuff from them before. I think I had one of theirs on the episode last week. It's a sour fruited ale with banana, papaya, white peach, strawberry, passion fruit, and vanilla. So kind of a whole little tropical flow going on. The can has a little hand holding what looks like a little pina colada with a bunch of fruits around it. And yeah. Oh, and it's also 6.8% ABV to add that on there too. So decent amount for a sour.
Oh, and you probably want me to talk about what I'm drinking.
Sorry, Shamus. I should have tagged you in.
No, it's fine. It's okay. No, it's fine. It's easy to forget that I exist sometimes. No, no, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I was supposed to be a joke that, hey, you probably think I'm drinking Bud Light tonight, right? But I am actually not. I'm actually drinking a real beer tonight.
Ooh.
This one I picked up over the weekend while my oldest was at the Tay Swift concert, or I like to call screaming preteens and screaming pre-college kids about an artist I don't like. I don't have a clever name for it, but either way, while she was doing that, I was in Tampa, perusing the breweries down there as we like to do, and I went to Angry Chair, checked out their new location, actually new to me because I haven't been to the new location yet, and picked up some stuff to bring home with me. And I picked up one called The Awakening Coffee Stout. Or it's called The Awakening. It is a coffee stout, excuse me. It is one I know that they've kind of had on tap, or it's like it's one that they rotate or do generally. It's kind of like if you think about some other breweries, they have like their 1, 2, 3, 4 different beers that they continuously make because they're popular, because people enjoy it. I picked it up because I hadn't happened to have it yet, and it's got this weird looking zombie character on the can. They do have some really wacky, some really cool dark imagery and some dark artwork. It's kind of like their aesthetic, their shtick.
Mhm.
So if you ever get a chance to go down there, if you ever get a chance to come to Tampa and visit, I would definitely I would recommend checking out Angry Chair. I'm pretty sure we've had them before, or I've at least talked about them. So yeah, I will crack this bad boy open. Again, I'm not a huge coffee guy, but I do enjoy coffee stouts. Just like I kind of like enjoy coffee ice cream too. It's weird. And the tagline on this can is "the pick me up you need, so you don't end up looking like this guy." And of course, that is
So-
the weird zombie-like guy you see on the can. Obviously, we're not live, so I'll have to I will share the picture with Nick and or Jamie, and we'll get it set up on the social media so you can see what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I don't know. Have you already cracked your stuff yet? Or
I
are
have
we
not.
waiting?
I'm about to crack it.
I was
right
waiting too.
now.
So maybe for the first time ever, we can count it down, or did we just start cracking?
Oh,
Oh,
I
well.
just cracked.
Oh, okay, it's all right. I can't. I have no nails. Ugh.
Yeah, that was my
I just
problem
got
too.
splashed in the face with motor oil.
I like Angry Chair. We haven't been there in a while.
No, it has been a little bit. We'll have to take a
Yeah.
trip down there at some point. So I guess what we should do is, I think it's probably because we're in like heavy speculation season. Before we get into really our main segment, we should kind of discuss the recent scuttlebutt of what's happening. So I've been I lurk
Just call
around
it
in some of the-
scuttlebutt to be nice.
Yeah, right.
That's really
The-
what it is. It's scuttlebutt as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah, so these are all, I mean, it's stuff that I don't even know where to credit because I go through random forums and Twitter and stuff and I see stuff. So I guess what we can do is just kind of bring up said ideas and talk about if we think these are even likely. And I guess like the most outrageous ones I won't even discuss, but stuff that gets repeated or stuff that comes from a legitimate insider we can make mention of because a lot of the stuff is nonsense, but some of the stuff kind of sticks a little bit here and there. So when it comes to like the full on spec maps, obviously we'll credit Horror Night Nightmares when we discuss those. But when it comes to just random forums, there's Universal forums, and then there's the Horror Nights Discord page, and then obviously Twitter. Everyone just blasts their stuff out there. So I guess we'll introduce a new little segment leading into this speculation season of like speculation scuttlebutt, and we'll just kind of discuss a couple, whether they're properties or ideas that before they get put onto a map, what we actually think of the likelihood or if this is something we'd be interested in. So one of the most recent ones, there's really three things to discuss, I guess, that I've kind of pulled out. And this came out, I think, some point last week, and it's pretty obscure of a idea. So it seems weird that somebody would make up something of this story, but I guess there are talks of doing something along the lines of Crossroads, the movie that has to do, not the Britney Spears movie. It's more of like The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And
Yeah.
this is the idea of doing like an original based off of this idea of jazz musician goes to sell his soul to the devil so he can be a prominent musician. And that's kind of where I just stopped looking into it. That's just the basis of the house, I guess. So is that I think this was put out originally by Legacy, who has the track record's up there with Legacy as well as Horror Night Nightmares. So I do look into it a little bit more than just a random person talking about it, but I did see others talk about it. So I guess we can discuss that. Is this something that, I mean, would interest you? There's no way of saying how likely we think it is since we can't really draw from IP relevancy, but just from an original concept, is this something that you would be interested in seeing this year?
I'd love it. I was excited when I saw it. I thought it could be really cool. Kind of like a horror western-y vibe, I guess. The Devil Went Down to Georgia kind of feel, all that kind of stuff, like the Old South. I really like that.
Yeah, I
I'd
don't
be
hate it.
interested.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty. It sounded pretty interesting. But then again, depending on how likely it would even be, but I think it could be cool.
Yeah, what do you think, Shamus?
Yeah, I don't hate the idea. I mean, I don't think they've really done anything that's got that Western theme to it, that Western feel to it. Doesn't necessarily have to be Western. If we're talking like Devil Goes Down to Georgia, it could be,
like New
just
Orleans
southern
style.
and just
Right,
southern in
yeah.
general, or it could be, yeah, like you said, it could be something based in like Cajun country, not necessarily just New Orleans, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I would want to kind of get an idea of where they're going with it story wise, because it would need probably some fleshing out.
Mhm.
But the idea of somebody selling his soul to the devil for whatever purpose would be an interesting take. It's just, it's a great idea for a song or for a movie. How do you flesh that out to make it work as a house? That's the only question I'd have.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see the whole, like, do we start in a bar where this character's, quote unquote, playing music and nobody's really paying attention, and then you kind of walk through the house as his life, and you see him, at, well, quote unquote, they're going to say the movie name, at a crossroads where it's like, all right, either I have nothing or I make this deal with the devil who just happened to appear, and it shows the all of the negative effects of dealing with the devil. I'd be interested in that.
Oh,
I think it's a cool concept. I think it would give a fun atmosphere. I think the
I
music would
must
be
have
fun.
misunderstood you. So this is based on like a movie, like an actual
So I
movie
think there's a
property,
movie
or
based off of the story that is also based off of the
Crossroads.
song,
Mhm.
like "Devil Went Down to Georgia," and it's about this musician that sold his soul to the devil to gain notoriety in the jazz scene.
I gotcha. Okay,
So it's like a weird, like,
I think I know what you're
taking
talking
the
about.
s yeah, taking the story of an IP, but not really, it's not gonna be a Crossroads house, but it's the same premise, I guess, is the
Mhm.
the essence. So they can retool, whatever they need to make it fit. But we'll see. So the other one more thing, there's one more after this, but within the Discord for Horror Night Nightmares, Mark from Horror Night Nightmares posted an image with the logo, the infamous guitar and lightning bolt logo, posted that on top of a picture of Eddie from Stranger Things playing in that now famous scene when he's playing on top of the uh, trailer in the Upside Down. So it seems like Stranger Things is getting a lot of more push. People are talking about it again. People kind of said it was dead. The Netflix stuff is dead. uh, I mean, this was when we talked about the spec map. That was kind of initially what I thought was lightning bolt and guitar. Like, we were hot off the heels of it. He's playing a guitar in a lightning storm. Like, this makes sense for me,
Yeah.
but it feels like it's getting more and more like this is a possibility of an actual IP coming back to us. So, what do you guys into this one? Do you guys think this has credibility? I mean, we've discussed this before, and this was kind of our idea, or we kind of went along the lines of we think this resembles Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when it's such a big possibility for like something so big to come that would have so many people invested in stuff like that, it's like I don't want to get my hopes up because I would love it and I absolutely love this season and I think it would translate really well into a house. I know you guys have talked about it before and stuff too that you would like it to have it there, but I guess it just all depends. I mean, I personally had said that I could see it coming there, but then, like you were saying, a lot of it was getting debunked and kind of stuff like that, and the stuff with Netflix wasn't really going through as much, or people said it was dead. But I would love to have it there if that's the case. I think it would be really cool. What about you, Shamus?
Yeah. Well, yes. I obviously I want it to happen. I guess. It's hard for me to like get super excited because they've done it 2 times already in the last 4 years.
That's true.
So do I want another house this soon? But then on the other hand, this season was so good that I guess I could look past that and still be excited because I wouldn't be like unhappy. Like I guess is the point. I've said it before. I think they need some IP draw for this year, and I don't think they have it yet.
Right.
Obviously, they haven't announced everything, but I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Essentially, that they have something in the works that they haven't really told anybody yet. And if this turns out to be true, I think this is that shoe. Um, Obviously, Stranger Things is a huge name, and people will come in droves just to go to just because of that house. But
Exactly.
again, how much stock do I put in internet rumors? Obviously, very little.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
These are
that,
all grains of salt.
right? And again, I know a lot of people like tend to have insider information, but um, you can only trust so much of it, because
Yeah.
I would have a hard time believing that Universal would let this slip and not try to put something out there to either confirm or deny.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point they're just letting people talk, because one, it's a good guess when it comes to that little image of the lightning bolt and the guitar. It's a really good guess. So are they just letting it play out to see what people come up with, or do they truly kind of have this in the works? And if that's the case, if it truly is in the works, then I believe more and more every day that Nightmares knows something more than we than we give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think they know something. They talk to somebody who says things, and I don't know. I think Nick and I have talked about this also in the past, is like, for me personally, I kind of don't like that, if that's true, because it's almost like you're kind of taking the mystique out of it. If you're basically giving us the answer, in the first spec map, then I worry that, it kind of removes some of the mystery of,
Yeah.
these houses being released, slowly throughout the year before we hit September. But I don't know. Either way, getting back to the point, yeah, I could see this totally happening. I think as more word, or the ball starts rolling down the hill, type of thing, I could see that this becoming, confirmed at some point. But I don't want to make. I don't want to. I don't want to say for sure. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to say the one and be like, yeah, this makes total sense
Jump
to
the
me.
shark.
I think, like Jamie said, I'm not getting super hyped up about it, because I don't want to be disappointed.
Exactly.
Um, and
Uh,
not that I would, because I don't think I
Yeah.
would be disappointed if there wasn't another Stranger Things house.
But it would be cool.
But it would be, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't, again, I wouldn't say it would be disappointing. It would just
Right.
be like, all right, well, that's cool. At least we're gonna get to see like some of the cool imagery from the show from this
Uh-huh.
season.
Yeah. That's my thing with like the Stranger Things versus in the past when they had stuff like The Walking Dead, where it's like The Walking Dead is,
Ugh.
besides just a new character, it's humans versus zombies. Whereas like at least every Stranger Things season has been distinctly different. Now the second house did a poor job of smashing two seasons together, and I think two was not like a house worthy season, whereas three could have been cool, but because it was lumped, it wasn't that great. But one had a lot of really cool imagery, and then I think four is drastically different imagery with a whole new villain and same heroes, but we're gonna get a lot of. It's gonna feel very different as far as just like overall house feel, I guess is where I'm going with that. And then it looks like the last thing that I sort of sniffed out between trying to look at thousands of people talk back and forth was it seems like we got a rumor that Blumhouse has dropped. So Megan, Insidious, it's kind of off the table. But then what's been reemerging now is the possibility of an Exorcist house. Now, if that just follows the original, it's something we've seen before. Blumhouse is putting out a new Exorcist movie in October, which is a direct sequel to one, very similar to how they did the Halloween was a direct sequel to Halloween 78.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously discussions of should houses come out before the movie is released. They sort of did that last year. They had the original Halloween and they had Halloween Kills. Now, obviously, the house doesn't have anything to do with that movie, but just the name alone
Yeah.
is promotion. So I could see them doing an Exorcist house just to push sales or, word of mouth or publicity towards the next movie inadvertently. This isn't something like super outrageous of a concept. And I think on our way too early predictions back in October, we talked about The Exorcist just by looking at what movies were coming out, and especially movies under the Blumhouse umbrella. And that's one of them. So what do you think, Shamus? You think that has any,
I have a
credibility
hard
or
time
like makes sense?
believing that if Blumhouse is pulled out, then, or has dropped off or whatever, that they would. I guess my question would be, like, when we say dropped off, are we talking about the house we currently thought was going to be there? At
Yeah, I
least
think so.
speculated to
That
be there, has
iteration
fallen
of
off the map.
Blumhouse.
Not so much
Yeah.
that Blumhouse is no longer involved in Halloween
Yeah,
franchise going
I
forward,
think
but
just that one.
I mean, Yeah, I don't see this. I don't see as again. I mean, and this isn't just my bias coming out. I promise. Do we
Mm.
really need two killer dollhouses to begin with?
No, we did not.
And I don't think that Universal. Again, that's why I was so like, meh, when I saw that because I'm like, why would they do that? Like, why would they give us 1.5 killer dollhouses? One or the other. You don't need to do both.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that hey, actually, guess what? You were wrong. This isn't what was speculated. It's not Megan and what was the other one? Insidious.
Insidious.
Mhm.
It'll be The Exorcist, or maybe it's The Exorcist and Insidious, or maybe there's a couple other options that they could use. But I could see them doing just like a straight up Exorcist house and have it nothing to do with Blumhouse necessarily.
Yeah, it could just be the property itself.
But I also wonder if it seems like when they get kind of these deals together, it's like they have an ongoing relationship with them. So I would be hard pressed to believe that there won't be some sort of Blumhouse presents house here. But I guess if this Exorcist house kind of acts as that house, it could almost even tell a story that kind of leads you into from the first movie into the new movie coming out. So maybe
Yeah.
that could act as like you said, a marketing promotion. But then at the same time, my question would be back to you and Jamie, obviously.
Mhm.
Are you cool with them using houses as just basically a marketing campaign for movies? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
does that kind of get like
I mean, I'm okay with
annoying?
I'm okay with it as long as it like is something worthy of it, with Halloween and Halloween Kills. I think
Yeah.
obviously being 31, Halloween is a staple. I think
Right.
The Exorcist goes down as one of the best horror movies of all time. And obviously, I mean, it came out uh, for what was it, the 70s, I think it was, and so it's been a while since we've had The Exorcist on film, and
Mhm.
This is
this is
true.
going to serve as a direct sequel. So like, it's a good kind of catch up, I guess, for the general people that may not have just remembered everything in that movie, and they can
Yeah.
go from the house to the movie and have a decent idea of what's going on.
I just know that Hollywood has a love affair with sequels and redos and bringing
Exactly.
properties
Oh, they're out of
back.
ideas.
That's
And
what I
like,
was gonna say.
do I really want you know all my IP houses every single year to just be the same 3-4 properties?
Mhm.
That's the only thing I worry about. Now, granted, obviously, Hollywood is devoid of original concepts at this point. Like, they don't have original concepts anymore. The ones that they do tend to mimic, you know, movies of the past, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as long as they do it right, it's fine. But I just don't want it to be another one of those habits where now we've got the Exorcist house because there's an Exorcist movie coming out. We have a
Yeah,
Gremlins house because there's a Gremlins movie. You know what I'm saying? Just
yeah.
as an example, but obviously everybody would want a Gremlin house, so that was a bad example. But you know what
But
I'm
yeah,
saying?
the point still stands.
I mean, do I think? I mean, same as the last question. Do I think that this will happen? I mean, I think it's a good bet. I think it's a great guess. I think it's a great speculative idea. Do I think it's gonna happen? I guess I no more than I think that the Stranger Things house is gonna happen. I just feel
Yeah,
like
until it's announced.
we won't know, and we've only had one speculation map. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think let's give it till the next speculation map before we start saying for sure that these rumors that keep popping up online are a thing or not. But
Yeah, maybe I'm going out on a whim here, but I feel like The Exorcist would probably be the most likely one that they would have, honestly. And I think it's a great, I mean, if they would use it as a marketing tool, I think it's a great marketing tool to have before the movie comes out and stuff like that. But then again, how you were saying with Hollywood and stuff like that, having the same houses. So I was looking it up because I had mentioned it today. 21, they had The Exorcist, and I didn't even think about the movie coming out later on in the year or whenever. But when Nick had mentioned it, he was like, "Oh yeah, there's the new movie coming out," and I was like, "Oh damn." I thought it was because maybe they had mentioned it because Hollywood had done it a couple years ago, and I know they've kind of done that back and forth. They did it with House of Thousand Corpses as well. But I mean, the thing with The Exorcist is I never got to do it as a house. Unfortunately, I would have loved to see it. It was the first horror movie I ever saw, so it definitely has a special place in my heart. But I would personally like to see the original more than the new film that's coming out. Like you said, if it kind of led in with the original and then went into the new film, that would be pretty cool too. But I think most of the reason I would want to have it there would be the nostalgia factor, I guess, and because I've never gotten to do it before.
Yeah, so Hollywood had it in 2016,
Yeah.
and then had it in 2021 as well.
Yes.
And 2016 was also the same year that Orlando had it.
Yeah,
Was
I
that
was just
26 as well?
I thought that was the thing. I was gonna say I thought we had it the same year one time.
Yeah, so it was
Okay.
multi-coast in 2016, but then they also just repurposed it in 2021. I think that was a post-COVID kind of deal for Hollywood.
I
They just
gotcha.
kind of found some old stuff and recycled it.
That
So that's
makes
kind of
sense.
all we have for the recent
Are,
what do we call it? Speculation scuttlebutt is
are we gonna mention? Are we gonna mention the rah rah ooh rah rah stuff?
oh
Or are we gonna
we
like
can talk. Yeah, let's
ignore?
talk
We're just
about
gonna
that.
ignore that.
They're
No,
just
let's talk about
trolling.
that. So that
All right.
was
So
yes.
hold on. So hold on. I'm glad you brought that up, Jamie, because I saw that a lot of people were saying that it's just them trolling.
Yeah.
I think it's
I thought so at least.
But I think what I think is, and again, this is probably me just being a conspiracy theorist or reading too much into it. Why are they going to go out of their way to find a tweet from 2012 to comment on if they're just trolling?
I don't know. Twitter is pretty
I feel like
technologically advanced nowadays. Maybe they looked it up or had it saved and went back to
I
it.
feel
But
like
that's
I
true.
feel
That's
like
true.
I feel like it would be one of those things where they just kind of come across one of her tweets, which is very hard to do when the tweet's that old.
Right.
If they had just come across a random one from like 6 months ago and just commented on it, I would say, yeah, they're probably just trolling. But they
Mhm.
went out of their way to find that specific tweet and
Mhm.
put something on there. So
Mhm.
I'm not sitting here and I'm not saying that just bank on it. We're gonna get a Lady Gaga house this year. But I don't look at it and just don't discount it as they're just playing games.
Mhm.
They might be. I mean, there's obviously there's a chance that they might be, but I think that they went out of their way to do that for a reason.
I just can't let them get my hopes up like that.
Oh wow, wow.
Oh,
Okay, all right.
what?
Well, that was not the answer I thought I
Lovely.
was gonna get.
I could see it. I could see it.
No, I could too. I mean, she's obviously had a big part of American Horror Story.
Yep.
She is one of the more, I would argue, one of the more famous characters from that series,
Mhm.
or one of the more well-known characters from that series.
Mhm.
I love AHS Hotel. I've talked
Me
about this at
too.
length. It might be my favorite season of American Horror Story.
Close.
I mean, I'm not sitting here
yeah.
and saying for sure that, hey, we're getting, or let me put it this way. It's not going to be Lady Gaga doing a weekend house. So all
Right.
y'all on the internet complaining and crying and saying, no, she's not horror. Blah. Don't sit here and take this as Shamus is saying that, oh, he's definitely expecting a music, quote unquote, house and Lady Gaga's music and stuff. No.
Mhm.
But I would not be surprised if this turns out to be like a hint towards, hey, we're doing an AHS house again and maybe
Oh,
focusing on her character.
I would cry.
That's all I'd say. She's done other things too in the horror realm.
She's pretty. I was just gonna say she's pretty like into the horror verse and stuff like that.
I'll put it out to everybody this way: if it came down to say Lady Gaga and Billie Eilish, who would you prefer?
Yeah.
Yep,
And
lady.
that-
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. So they were willing to do potentially a Billie Eilish house, and you think that Lady Gaga is out of the realm of
Far out,
possibility?
I know. I was just thinking
so-
about that too. I was talking
So,
all
I
that
mean-
crap about Billie Eilish.
Right. So I'll let you guys kind of talk about this, but just one last thing. Listen, if this turns out to be nothing but just a big troll job, then there'll be egg on my face, and I'll willingly accept that. But I'm not willing to discount it yet. That's all I'm gonna say. So
Yeah,
I'll let you guys kind of.
it seemed a little weird. Like it just kind of came out of
Obscure.
nowhere. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. I was trying to pull it up real quick, but I remember I don't even remember what her tweet was, but then it was just like a bunch of like letters,
random numbers and
Uh-huh.
letters and stuff.
so I don't even know a reference point of what that was about back then. But
From
Horror
her
Nights,
song.
yeah, yeah.
It
But
is.
then the Horror Night. Oh, is it okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's from a song.
But then Horror Nights Twitter page replied to it with a link to a video of just like static playing for like an hour or something like that. So it seemed more than a troll
watched
move.
it.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's
Yeah.
more
I
than
sat
just
there.
trolling.
Deliberate.
I sat there and like skimmed the whole video too. I was like, come on, there's got to be something in here.
Mhm. No, there's nothing.
I was like, I'm not that tech savvy to figure this out.
But the way I look at that potentially is static typically means TV.
That's what I thought.
It could mean that,
Mhm.
hey, there's something in reference to TV with Lady Gaga. I mean, that's the only reason. And again, I might be going
Yeah.
out on a limb here, but I mean, like I said, I have to imagine that I'm not the only person in the world who thinks AHS Hotel is one of the
Yeah.
greatest seasons of television I've ever watched.
They did just
Now, would
announce a new
you?
season too. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
good
yeah. I
point.
mean, they
Yep.
got a new one every year at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
And I went and I checked. Like
Well,
2012 was the Asylum season. That wasn't the
wasn't the hotel season?
hotels.
No.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But so, would you prefer a Lady Gaga style whatever house or just a straight up hotel house?
I
Like an
want a
American
hotel.
Horror
I
Story.
mean, I think I would want just a horror story, American Horror Story house in general.
Mhm.
But if they're using this kind of as like a clue towards potentially doing only hotel, I would be pumped. That I'm a little iffy on just because it was so long ago. Like this isn't a
Mhm.
recent show. This isn't a recent season.
Mhm.
But I mean, it doesn't
'Cause they
necessarily
did-
mean that we might not get further clues down the line of other people that played various characters throughout the
Uh-huh.
series.
Yeah,
never
because
know.
at 26, they did have American Horror Story. This, I believe, was the first iteration of it, and they did Murder House, Freak Show, and Hotel in that house, and it
Yes.
won House of the Year.
It was
Right.
great.
So that is a series that I think it sucks that they didn't get as much. Oh, sorry, my Alexa started picking me up. I wish that those seasons were more singular, like in the houses. The mashups of like, because all seasons are completely different, so it did feel a little jumbled in some of those, and I felt like I didn't get enough of certain stuff. You know, I love Freak Show,
Uh-huh.
but like Freak Show, Murder House, and Hotel in one house were like three distinctly different things. So like, I'd be okay with bringing a certain season back or some just to revisit and more in depth with. But yeah, I mean, I'd be down for whatever. I mean, at this point, you know, we went through the Weekend House. I had a lot of fun with it. You know, I think his imagery and like persona probably gave him a little bit more of a leg up. But again, I don't know what Lady Gaga stuff is all about. I know that she was great in A Star Is Born. I know that she's voicing somebody in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and we're probably going to get a reunion of A Star Is Born with her and Bradley Cooper. And she was great in Hotel. Like, I just don't have much stuff. I mean, she's playing Harley Quinn. So is that a reference to a Chance kind of deal, like a Jack and Chance thing? Are they trolling in that sense? You know, I think the possibilities are endless. The speculation on that little thing is just like you could go down so many rabbit holes and just be left with no answers. So I'm curious to see this play out
And
because
they did. I mean, not that this is super relevant, but she's been openly, like she's been vocally that about how much she loves the horror genre. They did an interview with her on Screen Rant or something, or maybe they did an article on her on Screen Rant, and she kind of gave all her favorite houses too. So it's not like she's completely devoid of the genre. I mean, granted, her music doesn't necessarily all tie in to horror specific imagery, but neither did The Weeknd. I mean, The Weeknd, yes, he has dark imagery, darker lyrics, but a lot of it was very esoteric and very vague in a lot of ways. So they could find a lot of different avenues to kind of take it and go with it. But I still think because she's done a lot of acting lately, that I think they could potentially pull something from that world as well. But who knows? Again, we're all going to look pretty silly when this turns out to be, like Jamie said, just a big nothing. But I would hope. I actually kind of do. I mean, this actually gives me kind of like people go, "You're insane that you would rather have this than the others do." But I mean, if we got another AHS house, I'd be pumped because I never got to do the original one. So
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so I guess that wraps up our little our speculation scuttlebutt thing. So let's jump into.
I had to bring that up.
No, it's good because I completely forgot about it. So and it needed to be talked about because it's kind of a big deal. And like we said, it was deliberate. You know, this wasn't like a butt dial.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into these HHN31 lists. So we'll start with scare zones, and like I said, we'll because there's a lot to talk about. We'll keep this I don't want to say brief, but each portion's brief because we're going to go through like 15 things here. So we'll start with scare zones. Me and Shamus will give our guess as to what is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll go along, and Jamie can kind of give her fifth as after we guess ours. So I'll kick it off with scare zones. My guess for the fifth scare zone is Horrors of Halloween, and then Shamus, you can.
I would say the same.
Yeah,
so that's easy.
Are we going to go through? Are you guys going to guess the whole list first, or you want me to go after everyone?
Let's
right?
go one by one.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
go
what
one
I
by
was.
one.
That's what I was going to say too. Well, you both are correct. That is my fifth spot.
Yeah, that was probably the easiest.
Massively
Yeah,
surprising.
someone had to have it, and it was unfortunately that one. Don't get me wrong. Love the Pumpkin Lord. Don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Well, as we stated in our list episode, we don't think that it's hard for me to consider him part of the scare zone.
It didn't do him
He
justice.
was
Don't get me
there,
wrong. Yeah.
And yeah.
So number 4, this is where it'll kind of get a little tricky. So my guess for 4 is Conjure the Dark.
And mine would be I'm trying to remember all the times we went together and gauge her reactions to things. Mine would be Scarecrow, actually.
Well, Nick, you are 2 for 2. It is Conjure the Dark.
Okay. Wow. I figured you liked that one more. I don't know why.
I did like it, but I don't want to say it didn't do it for me, because don't get me wrong, all the the scare actors were great. They were all beautiful. They looked awesome. All the makeup was great. I love the little goblins that they had hiding in the trees and stuff like that, and the little cutout barks and stuff. But I don't know. It just didn't really. I don't want to say it wasn't memorable for me, but it was kind of like those ones that I was like, I didn't really like catch myself stopping and looking through it at everything. I feel like it didn't really have as much of a set presence as I would have liked it to had compared to some of the other ones.
All right. So number 3. So number 3, I put Graveyard, Deadly Unrest.
I'm gonna go right back to Scarecrow again.
Yeah.
Nick, you're pretty good, honestly. I figured
Really?
I figured you would.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. No, I figured you would guess them, and I didn't even tell you.
This isn't me saying that Scarecrow is bad. Everybody, don't think that. Don't think that. I'm just. I figured you liked. I figured you liked Conjuring and Graveyard more, but okay.
Yeah.
I just gauged this by the amount of times I'd go and take pictures and videos, and how much time she would spend with me while I did that versus spending time in stores or something.
True. Okay. Well, that's probably
Fair
a
enough.
good way to gauge it.
Don't get me wrong, though. One of my favorite characters was in there, and it was the person wearing all white, and they had the big skeleton on the inside of it, like with the hood at the
It's like
top.
the worst.
It was oh my god, it
stupidest thing.
was so fun. I loved it.
Oh man, you got to give some love to the twins, though, right?
The
The
twins-
twins are probably the best scare actor in a scare zone this year.
I only saw the twins a couple times, unfortunately, but they were great. They were great.
Yeah, those were they won that zone for me. All
Mhm.
right, so number 2, this is where I put Scarecrow.
All right, well, I'm gonna go Scarecrow again then.
Well, you both are right, because it's Scarecrow.
All right, well, yeah, I got one right.
This was one of my favorites. It was really hard choosing the top 2 for these ones, because I loved Scarecrow. I thought all the characters were so fun. I loved the Black Crow character that they had, the little like wolf like dog man, the Corn. How could you forget the Corn? He was great.
Corn
But-
guy?
the
Corn
corn guy. But yeah, I really like that one, and I feel like any scare zone that they put in that little Central Park area is just always so immersive and fun with the trees and the lights that they do. I think it's really cool.
Well, I think that leads me and Shamus to
I was
both
gonna
getting the
say,
next one correct.
I'm gonna get
Yes.
Joe Rogan.
So number 1 is obviously Sweet's Revenge, which was where I had it, and I'm sure
I had it
Shamus-
there too. Yep.
Yeah, yep.
That it is. I loved this scare zone. Every time, how Nick was saying too, when he was taking pictures and videos in some of the scare zones and stuff, I loved hanging out for this one. And everyone was so interactive too, which was fun. And I love all the old-timey classic Halloween costumes and the fair concept and stuff like that. I thought this one was really fun.
All right, so that is the scare zones. So do you want to just quickly recap your 5 through 1?
Yeah, definitely. So starting out at number 5, I had Horrors of Halloween. At number 4, I had Conjure the Dark. Number 3 was Graveyard Deadly Unrest. Number 2 was Scarecrow Cursed Soil. And in the number 1 spot was Sweet Revenge.
So overall, what did you think of like just the scare zones this year?
I feel like this year definitely had more. No, I can't say that because last year I did like the scare zones. I don't want to say I was underwhelmed with the scare zones because I did really like them, but I feel like there was only, of course, I put Sweet Revenge at the first one, but I feel like that was the only one like I kept wanting to go back to, if that makes sense. The other ones I feel like I would kind of just pass through them, but with Sweet Revenge and Scarecrow, I felt like I take my time looking around through them and stuff like that. And kind of how I was saying before about how I thought Conjure the Dark didn't really have much of a set presence. I thought those did really well, and I liked looking at everything, just the little details you would see in Sweet Revenge. I hadn't even noticed, but there was like a snow cone machine like over in front of the arcade with like a severed head in it, and I just thought that was awesome. But just the little details that really stuck out to me for some of those. I wish the others had a little bit more, but of course all of them were still fantastic, and I don't want anyone to think I'm hating, but yeah.
All right, so that leaves us at a good spot to lead into our houses. So, number 10. This is where I put. God, the houses are a little bit harder than scare zones.
The houses were
Number
harder.
10. The 10 spot, I put Spirits of the Coven.
Oh, sorry.
What do you?
Hold on. I'm just going through my
Sorry,
list
Shamus.
again because this one was pretty hard. I'm gonna say 10 was Hellblock.
10 was Spirits of the Coven.
Wow.
I know.
You liked Hellblock better than Coven, huh?
Nah, not so much better, but I liked it better.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I thought this one really just kind of fell flat for me. I don't want to say that because it was beautiful on the inside. I love the decor. I love that whole speakeasy, witchy vibe, and I was really, really excited for this house. And I feel like I just didn't get many scares in it. It did get better throughout the season when they added like the sound overhead and like a couple more scare actors and stuff like that. I did get really one good scare in the front when you first beginning to walk in the house. There's like a long hallway over to your right, and I did not see him coming, but he came right at me. This giant guy on stilts in this little top hat and stuff like that. He really got me. But yeah, I feel like this one didn't really live up to my expectations, I guess, unfortunately.
All right. Well, I totally had Coven higher than that. I think Nick has an unfair advantage in this game.
I think so too.
I'm totally going
Yeah,
to
no, this is definitely. There's like a handicap that should be applied on this.
All right. So number 9.
So number 9. You want to go with your number 9, Shamus?
Yeah, I might surprise you guys, maybe, because apparently I'm just awful at this. I went Chupacabras at 9.
All right.
I put. This is where I put Hellblock.
I put Hellblock.
Yeah, I mean, again, that makes sense.
No, I
mean,
know,
obviously.
it's okay. Don't get me wrong, for like a last minute house kind of thing for what it was, I did really like it. I thought it was very fun, but I just don't feel like every time I went through it, and it was always a quick queue, so we were able to go through it a lot, there just wasn't that many scare actors, unfortunately, so I didn't get as many scares as I'd like.
Yeah, I can say
totally.
those the bottom two, like 10 and 9, I was pretty sure about, but everything else, like 8 through 1.
I forget where I put Coven. I
I'm
think I
not
had
sure.
Coven a little bit higher than you did, but
I think
Hellblock was definitely my 10th.
Yeah, I think I really switched it up for these last little ones, so we'll see.
All right. So what do you want to? What's your guess for her 8, Shamus?
8's Blumhouse.
Ooh, all right. My 8 is Chupacabras.
8 is Chupacabra.
I did not look at her
sheet.
list.
No, I swear he didn't look, and I even told him, I was like, do you want to see my list? He's like, no, that's the whole point. You can't look at her. I can't look at it. And I was like, all right, fine. It's like
But as soon as you
like
said
opening
Blumhouse,
credits.
Shamus, I know for a fact Blumhouse is going to be
It's
a
gonna be
little
the
ways
next one.
away.
I was gonna
No,
say,
no,
Shamus, you don't know me at all.
Apparently, well, no, you
No.
keep saying how you don't like. You didn't like. Freaky.
Friggin'
So
no,
that's like half a house.
I know.
Whatever.
I know.
All right,
It's fine.
so
It's fine.
So 8 was Chupacabras. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Anything on that house at all, or just?
Oh yeah, I didn't know if we were trying to keep going. No, yeah. Unfortunately, same thing with this one. Really, really excited for it. Again, the aesthetic wise was beautiful. It was everything I thought it was when you first walked into like the colorful like village scene with all like the streamers and the banners, and you have like the fireworks going off in the back and stuff like that, and everyone in like the costumes and whatnot. I thought was really, really fun. But then again, kind of the same thing. I don't know, maybe it's just because I don't get as scared anymore, but again, I didn't get as many scares as I'd like to get in this house, and I feel like it kind of just wasn't one of those houses that I was like, man, I can't wait to go back in that house. I think I only did this one maybe like 3 or 4 times throughout the whole season, but
All right, 7. What do you got, Shamus?
This is where I put Coven.
Coven. All right. Well, you
All
could
right.
switch it up now that you know something's off the table.
No, I mean it's all right. I don't want to. I'm already kind of lost at this point. So Coven is where I had 7, or 7 is where I had
so
7.
for 7, I put Descendants of Destruction.
Well, 7, I also put Descendants of Destruction.
Wow,
Keep the streak
seriously.
alive.
All right, that's it.
I don't know you at all because like
This
I
is
had
canceled.
It's fine. It's fine. No, it's continue. It's fine. I'll
It's no
take
big
the
deal.
L.
To be fair, I should get these right.
That's what I'm saying. You should
That's a
get
good
this right.
point.
You
That's a
live
good
like
point.
adjacent to her, so like
Yeah, Descendants was really fun, but I feel like I got a better appreciation for it when we did the Unmasking the Horror tour, the lights on tour, that we could see all the detail in the house, and the subway was absolutely magnificent that you walked through, and just all the different set pieces and stuff. And it was honestly really hard putting it at this spot, but I feel like a couple other ones just did it a little bit more for me, so I did have to put it here. I did feel bad because I did get some good scares in this house. I thought it was designed beautifully, and yeah, someone just had to go in that spot, and it was unfortunately that one.
All right. So number 6, this is the one. This is where I start to have question marks. So for 6, I put Bugs.
Okay.
Well, now I'm thinking I need to like completely rethink my list because I'm way off. Shit. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with what I had here. I put The Weeknd at 6.
Shamus has one on the board.
Yes, let's go.
Oh, not to spoil anything, but that's what I have next. I was so close.
Oh, you were close. Yeah, The
All right.
Weeknd.
And I knew you love Bugs too, but I was like, I know the other ones were, I think, up there a little bit more, but yeah. So go on. So 6 is The Weeknd.
6 is The Weeknd. Very fun house. Loved the music they were playing. It was definitely the fun, like, party house, like how everyone was acting, everyone was dancing in line. It was really fun. It got everyone hyped up. I was pleasantly surprised with this house, honestly. There was a lot of bad rap for it when it first came. Everyone didn't want it, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? I was kind of on the fence about it too, but I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And we ended up getting to go through it a couple times. The first run through wasn't as great, but the other couple times that we did, I got some really good scares. I think this one I got nicked too, but it was like the person like with the wallpaper like suit on. And they popped that guy was creepy. That was fun. And I'm just a sucker for any house that has a mirror room. I thought that was fun too. That's always scary. I wish there was more scare actors in there, and then the stage scenes that they had too. I had a couple people like come down on me and really caught me off guard and actually really scared me. So I thought that was fun, but I was pleasantly surprised with this one, honestly.
All right. So number 5, I'm going to just flip my answer. So now I'm going to say Bugs again, because this is where I originally had Weeknd, but I'm going to go with Bugs for 5.
Okay.
Well, then, since I've been way off, but I did just get one. I'm gonna go Blumhouse here then, or should I say the half that you didn't like?
Right. So neither of you got this one. Actually, I think you'll be very
serious.
It's gonna be Dead Man's.
It's Universal Monsters.
Oh wow!
All right,
okay.
I had that next. So that
yeah, okay. It was Universal Monsters, unfortunately.
Okay.
I just can't even lie. I know you guys always say it's outdone, but I wish that we had the set that Hollywood had. I wish that we had that gothic noir Dracula, more style, more of his backstory. Not a huge fan of the Mummy and the Wolfman, but design-wise, it was amazing. It was really immersive, super fun to walk through. Did get some good scares in it. With the little parts that I did see of Dracula, it made me really happy, but yeah, this one, I didn't love this one, and we did this one a lot of times too. And I feel like every time I was just like, all right, just going through this house again, just because it's a short line, we'll do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. All right. So that brings us up to 4.
You still gave it top 5 though. Good God.
Okay. So 4.
I get it. Shamus hates Universal Monsters. Whatever. let's get past that. Let's just finally get past that.
We'll never get past it because there's always going to be a Monsters house every year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did experience this every goddamn year. But
God. Okay. So 4. I'm just going to stick with what I originally put Yeah, we're on 4. Okay,
We're
so
on
for
4
4,
now.
I put Dead Man's.
Okay.
I'm gonna go right back to the saying. Well, I'm going Black Phone.
Okay. I put Bugs for number 4.
Are you
Oh my
kidding me?
God.
Hold on, wait. All right,
I
continue.
loved this house.
Continue.
Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. So the reason why I put this up so high, I think it was the last night of Horror Nights. We got there for Stay and Scream, and I think Nick had went off to do something, or he was shooting some video and some footage in the scare zones and stuff like that. So I was like, Bugs is only like a 10-minute wait. Like, screw it. I'm going to go. There was literally no one in line. I pretty much got to walk through the whole house by myself, and I got so many good scares, and I was able to look at everything and see all the detail. And I just thought it was so fun. I love that whole 50s aesthetic and the bugs infesting the house thing. I just thought it was super cool, and you could see all the little details, and I really enjoyed this one. And that one is what made me put it up so high, was that last walkthrough that I did with it.
All right. God, I knew Bugs was climbing up there. All right,
What?
so
Bugs. What, let me just, because now I'm way lost. Was that 4?
Yes.
yeah, so Bugs
Okay,
was 4.
Bugs is
Uh-huh.
at 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Man,
sorry.
so
All right, so hold
number
on. So now I'm way lost, because well, I'll tell you this much: if I had gone through Bugs by myself, I would have crapped my pants and thrown up at the same time.
I was gonna
Um,
say, Shamus, I know you're not a fan, but
No, well, it's not. It's less that Bugs is at 4. It's the fact that I'm
Mhm.
going to guess again. Black Phone at 3.
okay.
So for 3, I'll put Dead Man's.
3 is Horrors of Blumhouse.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Why?
All right.
I know,
You
I
loved
know.
half a house so much that
I
you put
did.
it at
I
3.
sure
I had-
the hell did.
I had Blumhouse as your number 2.
Okay, fair. It was hard. My number 2 and my number 3 spots were probably the hardest one that I had to do. My number 1 I knew immediately, but these two were really, really hard.
Well, now I'm not so sure I know what the number 1 is, because
Blumhouse would have had my number 2 if it was a straight Black Phone house, or if it was another movie I liked. But my dislike for Freaky, I was like, I gotta put it at number 3.
That's why I figured you put it at like 9. But
But
know,
Well, that's why
I-
when you first said Blumhouse,
Yeah.
Shamus, I was like, it's way higher. I had it as my number 2 house for her.
Yeah, I love the Black Phone. One of my
Craziness.
favorite movies. Ethan Hawke, if you ever listen to this, I'm just letting you know you're the homie. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't, and I keep talking about the set designs. It wasn't as much about the set designs, but it was the darkness in the house. I love getting that dark, immersive feeling in the house, especially when you would go through it during the day and then walk in and your eyes had to adjust and you couldn't see anything. It was great, and I was so scared. In the grabber scenes that they did have popping out from some of the drop panels in the hallways and stuff like that, I got some really good scares in there too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
so
look. Just real quick.
Mhm.
That's not me hating on Blumhouse, because I actually
Mhm.
really did enjoy Blumhouse. I thought Blumhouse was
much more than I thought.
surprised me a lot more than I thought it was going to be. So the fact that you have it at, would you have it at 3?
Yeah.
Yep.
The fact that you have it at 3, like, I don't disagree with that. I'm just blown away that. Never mind. It's fine. I clearly have no idea who you are.
It really did it for me.
Nice to meet you. My name is Shamus. You must be Jamie. Can I guess number 2 then?
So for 2, I guess I'm just gonna keep plugging at Dead Man's.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dead Man's Pier 2.
It is Dead Man's, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
'Cause
This
I knew
one-
what your number 1. I know number 1 for sure.
Yeah, this was, like I said, the 2 and 3 spots were so hard, but Dead Man's was just so beautiful. Just every time you would walk through it, I was like, this is what I love about Halloween Horror Nights. Like, this is just amazing. And don't get me wrong, I got some scares in there, not as some of the more scared that I've gotten in the other houses. I know I keep talking about that, but I feel like that's a big thing for me that makes me really like the houses. But just the whole design was so captivating. It was amazing. Just the more you went through the house, you would notice characters you didn't even notice before. You would notice other little specific things, like the lady playing the violin standing up on the ship. Nick had pointed that out to me, and I was like, I didn't even notice that. And it was just so cool, and I really liked this one.
All right, so then
No
number
arguments here.
1, that leads us to Halloween,
Yeah.
which is where I had it.
Mhm.
I had it at 2 originally.
My boy Mikey, gotta love him. I do. And I know everyone was like, oh, they've had Halloween before. It's overdone. Well, this was my first time ever getting to go in the original Halloween house, and it was fantastic. The part where you would walk through the bushes to walk up to the house and everything like that, it was just amazing. It looked just like the movie. I thought I was on a movie set. Not really, but it was really cool. And all the different I don't know, all the different Mikeys that they had in there really got me. And I feel like when I was walking through that house, I had that bit of like nervousness. I was like, I'm actually like kind of scared. Like I'm anxious, but Halloween will always have my heart, and this definitely had to be my number one spot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess quickly, do you want to run through 10 to 1?
Yeah, let me pull this back up real quick. All right, so at number 10, we have Spirits of the Coven. Number 9, we have Hellblock Horror. Number 8, we have Fiesta de Chupacabras. Number 7 is Descendants of Destruction. Number 6 is The Weekend After Hours Nightmare. Number 5 is Universal Monsters Collide. Number 4 is Bugs Eaten Alive. Number 3 is The Horrors of Blumhouse. Number 2 is Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake. And number 1 is Halloween.
All right. So I got overall
You did
not
really
bad,
good.
but that middle part, I knew it was just like
I knew it'd throw you guys off.
jumbled.
It's almost like the two of you are dating.
Yeah,
Right.
almost like that.
I was like, oh man, I hope he doesn't guess all of them. That's no fun. They think
Collusion.
this was
Collusion.
scripted.
I call collusion. I'm just saying.
No, but that was
All right.
fun.
Well, before we sign off, let's go through our little horror watch of the week, horror movies of the week. Has anybody seen anything that's been fun or interesting or just ridiculous?
I have not watched anything horror specific in the last week and a half. I did watch, again, not horror, but the 3-part series about the bombing in Boston.
Oh, so did we.
It is a very harrowing story. So if you know very little about it, or you know kind of what happened, we obviously lived very close to it. We lived in Massachusetts when it happened. I'm blown away that it's already been 10 years since it happened.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you do still learn some things you didn't know enough about. So it's scary and interesting and a lot to learn all in one. So it's worth a watch. It's only 3 episodes, but horror specifically, I haven't really watched anything lately, but I plan on watching something this weekend at least. Maybe tonight. We'll see.
All right. Jamie, anything what have you been watching? You've been watching a bunch of different stuff. So
I have been watching a bunch of different stuff, so I'm actually going to do a little shameless plug here, but I can finally talk about it. There is a new docuseries coming out about the Amityville Horror. It's called Amityville: An Origin Story, and I was able to review it early, which was pretty cool, and it's a 4-part docuseries about the origin of Amityville Horror, not just about the Lutz family, but about the DeFeo family murders and all that kind of stuff as well. And it was really good. I'm not just saying that, but it was really good. It's
What is it on?
Streaming from MGM Plus, and it comes out on Sunday at 10 after
MGM.
and I think because MGM, I was looking it up too, is incorporated with like Amazon. So I think at some point it might be available on Amazon, but for right now I think it's MGM Plus.
I don't know what that is, but I'll have to find it.
Yeah.
Another
I
plus.
do think I know.
That's what I said. Just another streaming service I got to get now.
I know quite a bit about the DeFeo story. I know. I mean, I think I read the original book that had come out about the Amityville horror stuff when I was like 7. Like I read that book. I think my aunt had that book somewhere in my grandmother's house in Berlin, and I read that because I'm a sick individual. I shouldn't have read as a child, but I did. Either way,
it's pretty crazy.
I'm
honestly,
interested in watching that. Yeah, I'm interested in watching that.
It was really good.
So last night I went to the theaters and I saw Renfield.
Oh, did you like it?
Nicolas Cage Dracula movie, and boy,
was it
a wild
ride?
ride. Oh yeah, I was nervous that I wasn't gonna get enough Nicolas Cage, and there really is no such thing as like enough Nicolas Cage. I still felt like I could have had more, but it wasn't lack of Nicolas Cage. It was a very fun movie, good comedy. I forget the actor's name, but the guy that plays John Ralphio in Parks and Rec, I forgot he was in this movie. I was just so pleasantly surprised when he showed up. A lot of like very unrealistic gore. So it wasn't like, if you're not a fan of gore, you can still get through it. It's very like, I don't want to say bad CGI, but I think it was just like done to make it less gruesome, so it can actually cater to more like comedy like enthusiasts versus like horror gore enthusiasts. So it was ridiculous. I really enjoyed it. It was just a fun, quick in and out hour and a half movie. It was everything I really wanted in a Nicolas Cage Dracula movie. But man, that would have been fun. That was a fun.
I picture it as like a scary movie about Dracula.
Mhm.
Am I close?
It's similar. It's not as like outlandish. It's kind of. I feel like the similarities between this and what they do in the shadows is there just because of the ridiculousness of like them being in the real world, how they, talk is just very out of date. But it wasn't as like slapsticky in your face, but the comedy was there for sure. Oh, well, that about wraps it up. We do have a lot of cool stuff coming up. So a couple little teases. We are starting to game plan for I know this is crazy, our 3-year anniversary episode.
Lies.
So we're starting to the wheels are turning on that episode. That's going to be coming out late May. I've been talking with a couple people about getting some new shirt designs, which I'm excited to get those, release those, and we're going to hopefully coincide those with our anniversary episode or around that time frame. We're working on the back end a little bit of kind of introducing new segments and new areas to find us. So that's a lot of new stuff. I think I'm hoping to have all this tied together for us to kind of drop on our anniversary episode. So it's sort of like not a rebirth, but just like we're starting with a lot of new stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the latest thing is, if you want to hear us again this week, you can head over to the RIP Tour podcast. We are going to be doing an episode, The Draft from Hell. We're going to be doing that. I believe it's on Sunday, and I believe it's releasing on Sunday as well. So it's going to be us, HHN365, RIP Tour, of course, and then I believe Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights is also going to be on that episode. So if you want to hear us again on a different platform or a different podcast form, head over to their feed, and the episode will be all on there. So we haven't game planned at all for that episode. So
Thursday night, I have not prepared for that.
No, I've looked at the list and I have done nothing with it. So we'll have to get together and have a little pre-meeting, I guess.
Another morning drinking a beer at 11 o'clock in the morning because, our fellow co-hosts from across the pond.
Hey, any excuse to drink at 11 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah, well, what are Sundays for? Other than to drink early and often.
Yep. No. All right. Well, until next time, this is Nick.
This is Shamus.
This is Jamie.
Happy haunts.
It's cursed. It's got a death curse.
It's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check him out. Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.